you post the link?
I put the 3-step flop in the group meet, just the 3stepflop.com. Is that good enough?
Did you say that we're live?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. 'Cause I don't know. They could just be like, why are you posting that website link?
SF3SF is live at 3stepflop.com.
Cool beans. Yikes.
I just ate right before I came down here.
What'd you have?
Some homemade calzones.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of cheese. Lots of bread.
Yikes.
Cheese, bread.
It's a lot of gluten.
It's from my glutes. Gluten from my glutes.
What a story, Mike. You seen Disaster Artist?
No.
Oh my god, dude. You gotta watch that.
What is it?
You know The Room? That movie, The Room? Tommy Wiseau?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it here with Joe a while back, and it was...
That sounds like a movie for you and Joe.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Are we live? We kicking?
I'm just going to pull up the stream, make sure the audio is good.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to hit the restroom before we kick this off. Unless we're running.
Okay, yeah, we're good. What? Sorry. I can't hear you with these on.
I'm going to hit the restroom first. Unless... Sure. Are we running?
Yeah, but that's fine. I can wait. Might
okay.
As well do it now. I'll sit here and hold it the whole time.
Hi, cat. Look out.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3-Step Flop. As always, I am Gator Strand, and I am here with...
Tony Diotel.
Great job. You did great on that.
Thank you.
What is this, Tony? Week 3?
Week 3, I will point out, notice that we're also here with no one.
Simba's right there.
Simba's right here.
Simba's on the ground.
She's eyeing the microphone hard as well because she wants to eat this cable that it's connected to.
We'll try and get her on here, see if she's got some words.
You'll probably hear she's very vocal these days, especially about some bad quarterback performances.
Right. So let's just jump right into things. Let's start with the worst this week.
All right.
Worst performer this week was Marianne.
Oh, yeah.
Who went with Ryan Tannehill. Easy
of
name.
The Miami Dolphins.
Yes, minus 13.78 points. She was probably drunk. They were enjoying a UK win.
Mm-hmm.
The Cats are looking good. I don't know if you've read up on them at all, but they're 4-0 right now.
Wow.
Tied for first in the SEC.
Good for them.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, right?
The last time they were good was when my older brother was there, which was like almost 15 years ago.
They've been slowly working their way back. They've been just shy of some bowl games, I believe. They may have even been in a bowl game last year. Who cares? Fuck you guys.
Fucking college.
God.
Dude. All I know is they're all getting paid $0, and some of them are getting paid a little bit, and that's all that matters.
So tell us about Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill was actually very accurate, 17 for 23.
Okay.
So pretty much nailing almost every play. 289, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Just sacked only once. So Oakland, I mean, they just look like shit.
Yeah.
John Gruden, I think maybe was a mistake. There was a article out that I was reading the other day that said that he has like a inner circle of people that he consults with and leaves a lot of other people out of decisions and things like that. So I think that the Raiders, if you're against them, if you're thinking about picking a quarterback who's playing the Raiders, maybe
don't.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Cam got auto-drafted that week to take Derek Carr, and so it was a husband-wife matchup.
I didn't even pick up on
that.
that.
That was fun.
That?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there were a couple interesting things from this game. Now, I will say, in the highlight thread, there were only two clips from an entire football game.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them just happened to be, drum roll please, this one here. Now, this is an example.
Can the fans at home see this?
This is an example of not using Ryan Tannehill and still doing something badass.
Yeah.
So if you want to check this play out, I don't know what just happened, but they're going to score a touchdown right here.
Yeah, and I was a little upset it wasn't Tannehill.
Yeah, and I saw this watching Red Zone on Sunday, and I watched all the handoffs, and I couldn't I was like, what just happened? I'm not sure.
They weren't
I've
the only
ever
team to
seen
try
that.
and pull that off. Oh, yeah, you've seen that.
I have, but it happened so fast, and it just confused me. So you have the fake pitch, and then you have a handoff, and then you have a reverse.
Normally I'll see this. I think Philadelphia did this.
Yeah, it's like the same play that Philadelphia.
But the quarterback runs out, and he's the receiver. It's what Tom Brady tried to run in the Super Bowl.
And dropped it.
Yeah. So it actually works out fairly well, to be honest.
Yeah. That was pretty cool, but an even better play, I thought, was this right here. And this is just a running play, but I just want you to notice what happens between these two guys right here.
Oh, yeah, I know what they're going to do.
A little bit of a high five action. That is fucking badass.
It's amazing.
I love that so much.
It's great.
I wish that there was more of that in this league.
While we're on this game, let's talk about Derek Carr a little bit, because he, right off the bat, throws like a 40-yard bomb. The guy gets taken down at the 5. So it could have been a disaster, but he ends up throwing a touchdown anyway. Cam had negative 15 points at one point. And then it was kind of downhill from there, and Carr somehow got him a positive 12 points.
Yeah, it must have just been just more volume and just completing more passes, because he did throw for 345 with 2 picks and 1 touchdown. So, I don't know. How many points did he end up with?
Positive 12.
Yeah, I guess that's just purely, the interceptions, 3 sacks. It's not like he really had a bad game on paper.
Right.
I guess the 2 picks obviously isn't great, but
like I said, he started off really good in real life.
Yeah.
And then just kind of went down from there.
Yeah, I think he threw. Yeah, he had that touchdown to Jordy Nelson, who I, full disclosure, did not even realize was still in the league. Because I know he got hurt a couple years back and destroyed his knee, and then all of a sudden he's running down the sidelines for Oakland. So that's pretty cool to see. But anyway,
yeah. So let's move on to the top scorer this week, who was Alex with 29.64 points, and Alex went with Dak Prescott. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah, and honestly, I always had a perception of Dak Prescott that he was competent. I don't know why. I guess I just didn't really. I've never really watched him that that much, but I've been reading a lot of Dallas fans saying that he's not that necessarily they want him gone, but just that he's maybe not as good as people think that.
Well, he came out pretty hot last year. Him and Zeke were tearing it up, and then Zeke got suspended.
Yeah,
and now Zeke is back, and I think it was just the fact that they established a really good running game, which the defense tended to focus on.
That's true. They've had one of the best running games in the league for the last few years, because their offensive line was so great. Even going back to DeMarco Murray days when he was there, just running all over people.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would take Dak in the future. I think this might have been a fluke, in my opinion.
I actually saw a play where Zeke was going out on on a swing route to the outside, and he just kind of got overthrown by Prescott, and they kind of zoomed in on Zeke after it, and I almost could see in his eyes he was you got it, come on, dude, just make the throw. It almost seemed like he was getting a little frustrated at that point. So
sure.
I'm no expert, but maybe there's trouble over there.
Well, with 29 points, how'd he get there?
15 incompletions, just 168 yards, 2 picks, 5 sacks. That's the big
Sacks
problem
is big,
there.
yep.
People forget about those sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, having a rushing quarterback, I don't know if you call Dak Prescott a rushing quarterback, but he's a guy who can scramble a little bit. It can hurt you, but it can also lead him to, instead of throwing it away, trying to get away from defenders and end up getting sacked more. So it can kind of go both ways.
So let's just talk about the whole points as a whole for everyone. We had a lot of 20-something points, but we had a lot of low, maybe even negative digit points here. I think there was a big spread between the league. Lauren, surprise, negative points, negative 2.92. She had the very first pick and went with Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Speaking of running quarterbacks, huh?
Wow. I did not know that Josh Allen was just like Wheels McGee over here. Like, it seemed like he was just trying to run everywhere, dude. But he had a rushing...
You see him hurdle that guy?
Yes.
Tell me you have a clip.
I can show you him hurdling that guy. This was actually something that I wanted to call out as being, hey, maybe you should start picking this guy. Because if you're doing this type of shit in the NFL, it's only a matter of time before somebody
he's gonna get hurt,
destroys you. Needless to say, it's still
he got him like 3 extra yards.
I mean, he got the first down because of it.
Yeah.
So it's not like one of those things where you're like, dude, just go out of bounds or something like that. But in the NFL, you can't do this shit. This is not, somebody is going to destroy you.
The announcers were immediately like, someone's going to tell him not to do that anymore.
It's just not, it doesn't lead to longevity.
But that's impressive.
It's very impressive. The guy clearly is an athlete. That wasn't the only amazing play that he made. This one here was probably, this is why I say that maybe he's got wheels.
They can't. Oh, there they go. Okay. Oh yeah, he's got wheels for sure.
I mean, look at that dive for the I love it. I love the one-handed dive for the pylon.
It was amazing.
He seems like, he's got the Bills a little fired up, and this is a game against Minnesota, who was looking pretty damn good. Their defense is fantastic, and Buffalo just came out and destroyed them.
Yeah, I laughed when Brian posted the lines. I said I laughed at -17. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they do the opposite.
Yeah,
they do the reverse line.
I mean, it's just bad luck for Lauren, because I think this was also a fluke, and I am not afraid to pick Josh Allen again.
No.
Future.
I mean, yeah, this is just one of those things where maybe Minnesota got a little cocky or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This play was also pretty badass. Just to see a rookie quarterback do this. This is against I don't know the guy's name, but he's a Pro Bowl linebacker. Stiff arm right to the face.
Yeah.
And he drew a flag too, because the idiot guy dragged him down by the collar. But I mean, look at this stiff arm.
It's amazing. He really came to play this week.
Yeah, he was not afraid at all.
I think he had a bomb over 40 yards as well.
Wasn't able to find that, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, the guy surprised us all. Speaking of negative points, another bad week for Brian. He's sitting at the very bottom of the league at negative 20-something points.
I can't laugh too hard because I'm right next to him, but yeah, it's a little funny.
It's I'm still rooting for Brian, because he came in that first week with that segment for us, and he talked about how he was coming back despite his bad opener. And
it was a great segment. It's clipped and on the YouTube channel if you guys want to just watch that segment. Right. It is on there. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
It was great, and but weeks like this aren't going to help him.
No, not at all. And really, I'm starting to feel it a little bit too, where it's one thing if you start off have 1 or 2 bad weeks, but now we're 3 weeks in, and you're seeing yourself go backwards. It's not like, a regular fantasy league where you have a couple losses in a row and, every week is like, well, this is just a clean slate.
Right.
It's like you're now digging yourself a hole actively.
Builds.
So it kind of gets in your head a little bit, I think.
So Brian went with Philip Riverme Timbers, a.k.a. the shot put. That guy, I've never seen a weirder throwing form in my life.
Yeah, it's almost like he hurt himself at some point and had to switch how he threw.
Right.
Like how pitchers will sometimes drop their arm a little bit when they have elbow surgery or something. It's weird. But he was 18 for 30, 226, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, just 1 sack. So he just took care of the ball, and his offensive line took care of him.
And they were going up against the Rams, right?
Yeah.
Which is also a good defense.
Yeah.
So two big defenses letting both the rankings down this week.
Yeah, and you can't fault Brian for that pick either.
No.
Phil Rivers has been somewhat reliable in this league before.
Yeah. I would never say Rivers is a super high scorer, but
no.
But he'll get you some points normally. Yeah, it's a shame. It sucks for you, Rankins. But
yeah, it's just weird, seeing the commish down at the bottom. I hope he stays positive, because I feel like if he gets too negative, he won't come on the podcast, and he's the only person who comes on. So
I'll tell you what's weird is seeing Aaron up top. That's what's weird. Aaron's doing pretty well.
Yeah, and this is all while he's been traveling for work.
He has yet to pick a Sunday quarterback. Maybe that's the key. I don't know.
I think there's something to be said. The Thursday games usually lend themselves to awful just football in general.
Right.
So there could be it'd be cool to see like an analysis of Sunday QB stats versus Thursday Monday QB stats. Like,
well,
I
think
break that down.
The Thursday ones are more of a gamble, because I think you'll see the really high scores, but you also see really low negatives too.
True.
So they kind of scare me. I love when my quarterback plays Sunday at 1:00.
Yeah,
I never let that make my decision, but
I prefer it.
It's nice.
I don't
excited
like waiting
for
until
it.
Sunday night or Monday.
Right.
Even the 4 p.m. games are.
Right.
I've already lost interest in the NFL by then.
It's coming from your host of a podcast about the NFL.
Hey, I've never lied about not being interested in the NFL. This week was particularly uninteresting, considering how the Bengals went. We won't talk about it again, because we don't have to do Bengals update.
We don't need to.
And also both of those, I don't think either one of those quarterbacks was picked. Did anybody pick Dalton?
But speaking of Dalton, he was in the top 3 undrafted.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, Andy Dalton, and Carson Wentz, 29, 24, and 22 points.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Andy earned all those points.
Yeah.
He did throw one interception that was off a deflection, but his other 2 picks were just egregiously bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe look at Andy Dalton going forward. I don't know. The Bengals are 2-1. Who knows what direction it will go. I will say though, maybe we should talk about the Cleveland game.
Yeah, that was Thursday.
That was one of the few games I actually did watch.
Yeah, Taylor had a great week. So I tried to get both of those quarterbacks because I was way down at 11. That was Tyrod and Aaron Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Taylor had 28 points and Aaron had 21 points.
That's just a dream bad quarterback game right there.
8 of those points were injury
points. Yeah.
Yeah, for Aaron.
Tyrod going down.
No. Aaron got the injury points.
Didn't he have Tyrod?
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Sorry.
I was finally right about something. Yeah. That game was just. It was. I could feel the Browns. This was their best shot. Like, this was the week that they had their best shot. Thursday night game at home. The Jets are shit terrible. And there was. I don't know. It just seemed after that tie to Pittsburgh, everybody really. It was like the first time I've seen Browns fans we might come on, guys. We got a chance now.
I know, and their defense has looked pretty good.
They have that Myles Garrett defensive end for them that guy is a beast.
Now I'll say both of Darnold's interceptions were late in the game, and the last one was a last-second garbage interception. So Taylor got a lot of points from that. So honestly, this might have been one of the worst weeks for their defense. Not that it was a bad week, but I think their defense looked even better in the first two weeks.
True, yeah, and I think defense stuff can go. Look at the Vikings. Sometimes you just have a bad game or you don't game plan correctly. But I'm not saying the Browns are playoff contenders or anything, but it's pretty clear that they're not the team of the last 2 years.
No.
I think a lot of those guys, and I don't know how many guys there have been there for a couple years and how many are new in the last year or two. But I think if you're on a team like that and have spent 2 years just getting the shit kicked out of you and you're the laughing stock of the league, and then you get injected with new talent like, a Baker Mayfield, that can sort of energize everybody. And once you start get a hint, a taste of the winning, that can maybe energize everybody. So I don't know, maybe they win 4 or 5 games this year.
I'll stick to what I said last week. I think the Browns have a chance this week against the Raiders, and then their next 5 are losses, in my opinion.
Wow.
5. Ravens, Chargers, Bucks, Steelers, Chiefs.
I don't know why this can is leaking, but What do you like about the Ravens? That's what I want to know.
Their defense is pretty good.
I think they're shit.
Well, speaking of...
Well, before we move on to any other games, I have a lot of clips to show for the Cleveland game. A lot of them very silly and funny. This was, I think, played pretty early in the broadcast. We all know about the Bud Light, but this is the Bud Light night protecting the Bud Light from the Browns mascots here.
They're just begging. They're begging. They're literally begging for Bud Light. Man, they are.
I wonder how much Bud Light paid for that little spot to happen.
It's genius marketing. It really is.
I mean, I'm sure this was some guy. This was just one guy who thought of this at Bud, like on the Bud Light marketing.
He thought it'd
team.
be funny.
Yeah. He was just like, oh, guy, like they're probably just like joking around at a happy hour after work, not drinking Bud Light.
They see a cooler full of Bud Light, and they're like, you know what? Don't let any Browns fans have any of that.
Yeah.
Not until they win.
And then one guy goes, wait a second. So I do love that they finally got their Bud Light.
Yeah.
So that happened. This also happened.
Oh yeah.
There was a possum loose in the stadium, and this wonderful Cleveland fan was actually very methodical about how to get it in the box.
He's done this before.
Yeah, he tells the guy to set it down, and then he has still holding on to the tail as he closes all the flaps, and then closes the flap and does the box
and does
flip.
the lock.
Yeah,
he locks it too.
and then puts his hands up to the crowd. So
this guy's done that.
I think it was at that point that I knew the Browns were going to win.
I think they need to bring the possum back to every game.
I think that's not a bad idea.
It's a reverse curse.
Now we do all know that Tyrod Taylor got hurt in this game and Baker Mayfield took over, but before that happened, the Jets were off to a pretty good start. Isaiah Crowell, former Cleveland Browns running back, who is now with the Jets, scored a touchdown, and this is what he decided to do afterwards.
Oh, I saw this.
He wiped his ass with the football, and then he threw it into the stands.
It's unsanitary.
I mean, come on, that's funny.
It is funny.
It's extremely disrespectful, and I'm not really sure why Crowell doesn't like them anymore. I don't know if it was just like a sort of a gamesmanship, like just being silly, or if he actually legitimately doesn't like them. That seems like a pretty disrespectful thing to do for a joke, so I'm going to guess that he went out on bad terms there.
Right. Definitely.
Needless to say, it's funny. But so shortly after that, Tyrod Taylor went down with the injury. I don't have the clip, but he took kind of a weird shot, and then he was kind of woozy, and then they took him out after. So I think he had a concussion.
I'll say if he didn't get injured, I think he was going to get pulled quickly because the fans were demanding it.
He was like, every time he threw an incompletion, there was boos. Like they would get third down, incompletion.
I think the fans knew like this is our shot, and we can't.
Right. They were like, come on, don't mess this up. So he goes out, and then Baker Mayfield comes in, and it seemed like I was watching this game here with Matt and Austin, and there was like a vibe change. Like immediately as soon as he came in, everything changed. This was I think this is a touchdown pass that he had. Or no, yeah, look at this. So he's rolling out fucking like that is an incredible play.
Yeah, and if you'll watch when they slow it down, he beckons the receiver.
Yeah, I don't have
so you'll see he'll beckon the receiver back, and he'll fake.
So that's a great move right there. First of all, to escape the sack.
Right.
He pump fakes and then throws it. I mean, yeah, that's just a hell of a play. So
it's pretty nice.
So you see that from him, and like that's a play I haven't seen. Like that's basically what they thought Johnny Manziel was going to be doing all the time when they drafted him, and he's doing it in his first NFL action, basically.
I think he's confident. I don't think he's worried or nervous at all. I think he's ready to go.
I think that's, if you watched Hard Knocks, I think that was pretty clear.
Yeah.
And he also, I felt like did a good job with the media in preseason and just kind of said, Tyrod's the starter. I'm here to be the backup. And, he said all the things that you're supposed to say.
Right.
So that's good to see some maturity in stark contrast to a Johnny Manziel. For
I don't know if anything's been announced, but do you think
he was announced the starter today?
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I think that's probably the right move. I do love Tyrod Taylor. He's been a guy who I've had on other fantasy teams for a long time, and I've rooted for him in Buffalo, and they just Buffalo never gave him a chance. Like they had shit receivers the entire time he was there, so it kind of sucks.
Didn't he take them to the playoffs?
Yes.
Didn't he get dropped?
Yeah, but essentially, yeah.
I mean, Tyrod's a great backup to have.
Right. He's going to be one of the better backups in the league, so hopefully he gets a shot somewhere else. But this play was kind of cool as well. The Browns ran the little wide receiver pass and threw it to Baker for the 2-point conversion to tie it up. And that's, I think, I feel like that's deliberate, just to get people jazzed.
I don't know if you're gonna pull a publicity stunt to tie it up at 14.
I don't think it's
just because they were at 14.
I think it's both of those. Like, they were gonna go for 2, and they knew that they had that play in their back pocket, and were like, hey, maybe this would
be kind of cool if we did this,
So I think that was a good move. So the Browns tied it there. They ended up winning the game. Congratulations to the Browns.
Yeah, congrats, Rankins. They're still hungover from Thursday.
Right. I shit on them. We all shit on them a lot, and it's fun. But I will say about Browns fans, far and away better than the other two teams that the Bengals in their Bengals division as far as fans go. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers fans are terrible. Ravens fans, they're kind of indifferent. But Browns fans, I was walking to the Thursday night football game when the Bengals played the Ravens, and there was a Ravens fan who was walking with a buddy who was wearing Brown stuff. So I kind of just struck up a conversation. I was like, you're going to the wrong stadium and all that shit. And he was the nicest guy. Like, I was just, I was talking about the Browns, and he was just like, yeah, man, like, I know we haven't been good, but like, I think Baker's pretty good. He was just a real nice guy.
They always have hope.
Yeah. And they're not assholes. Like Steelers fans, there's fights in the stands when the Steelers come to town.
Well, you can't be an asshole when you've been losing for 2 years straight. It's kind of hard to be cocky about anything. So
it's true, but it's just nice to go to an NFL stadium and not see people beating each other up, which I usually see. So thank you. Shout out to that one Browns fan.
Let's see what we got. We've got Jimmy Garoppolo injury this week.
Yeah, I do have a clip of that, and it seemed almost like an inconsequential play.
It wasn't no contact or anything. He just planted weird.
Yeah, and it could have been avoided as well.
I don't really like watching it, but I'll it's not that bad.
Even tell. Yeah, it's a knee injury, but it doesn't look like a knee injury. He should have just went out of bounds. He had an ample opportunity to just take the ball out of bounds right here, and he decided to sort of lower his shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't even know what happened there. Like, I guess he hit him, and then his knee just kind of turned in.
No, it was before the hit.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes more sense then.
He just plants weird on his left foot.
It wasn't clear to me after watching this.
Oh, it's right before the hit. There.
I see. You can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see his knee give out there on the sideline. Ah, man.
So, and those are always the scarier ones when it's not from a hit.
Right.
That means
the non-contact stuff is always the worst.
Yeah, you did something, and I believe they announced he tore his ACL. He's done for the season.
For the year.
So Beathard is his.
Welcome to the fucking show. CJ Beathard.
Even if you don't want to draft him for skill, you have to draft him for that name.
Without a doubt.
He's the easiest. Actually, he's the hardest to come up with a nickname for because that his last name is already just good enough. You don't need.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's almost like like these days in the news, things are so ridiculous where you're not really sure if it's parody or not. Like, it's more parody than reality.
Right.
So yeah.
But yeah, will be
there's another quarterback we can add to the fold,
right?
Which is exciting. He was a guy who was picked fairly often last year before Trubisky took over.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. I feel bad for Jimmy G. The guy's been in the league for like 5 or 6 years and has played, I think, 10 games total just because he's been a backup and then now he gets hurt.
Right.
But on the bright side for San Francisco, when they were down by 25 points, they scored this touchdown and then did this really cool celebration, which is kind of weird to do when you're down, but I liked the celebration. This is clearly very coordinated. I mean,
you have to practice this stuff like in the dorm room or whatever at training camp, right? Like,
and that's why they did it, even though they were down by 25, because you might not get another shot. So we just practiced all week for this. So good for them for getting something out of that game.
Speaking of new quarterbacks, Josh Rosen is taking over for Sam Bradford.
Yes, Josh Rosen.
Which Sam Bradford freaking got benched in the fourth quarter and gave Drew 10 extra points. So Drew got like 28 points, and now Drew's sitting at the top of the league because of those freaking 10 points. Mm-hmm. So it's frustrating. I believe Bradford even had a couple early touchdowns as well, very similar to Derek Carr. But then after that, just tanked.
Sam Bradford has had one of the most interesting and depressing careers that I've ever seen from a very talented quarterback, because that guy has either been hurt or just in difficult situations in his entire career. So once again, nothing goes right for Sam Bradford.
Yeah, the Cardinals have been the worst offensive team in the league. So I don't really know who this Josh Rosen guy is.
Austin talked about him in his segment last year, talking about the rookie quarterbacks.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what he came out saying about Rosen specifically, but it's another rookie quarterback, another opportunity in this league for somebody to pick up a good player.
Yeah. And the Cardinals like to throw the ball too, so
traditionally they have. Carson Palmer, the ghost of Carson Palmer, still lives on.
Right. I would bet someone picks him up this week. I'm not even sure who they're playing.
Without a doubt. I think he's going to be a very high pick. Even though I don't think he really played all that much in this game. Let's see. I think he only had
came in the fourth, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's 4 for 7, 36 yards. He did throw a pick though.
Oh, and they're playing the Seahawks, who
are coming off a loss.
Alex. No, they beat Dallas, didn't they? Alex got 29 points off of
my bad.
The Seahawks defense. So,
yikes! Yeah, so that'll be probably a shit show game. The Cardinals might be the worst team in the league. I think the Bears might actually be solid this year.
Yeah, I don't really follow the Bears, and I don't really watch them much, so it's hard for me to place them, but they're not looking as bad as they were last year, that's for sure.
Trubisky's got some experience. They could surprise some people, but again, I'm just a guy who doesn't know anything about football.
So Marianne is going to get first pick this week. Let's say she takes Josh Rosen. Do you think Lauren will go with Josh Allen again at the number 2 spot? Or
I feel like there's an aversion to picking guys back-to-back weeks, but I don't think you should be scared about that. It's a rookie quarterback playing for a poor team.
Yeah.
That's really all you have to know.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of back-to-back picks, we went with New England again this week in the B group, and they fucked us again against the Lions.
Yeah, wow.
I'm done picking New England.
Well, yeah, New England, it's interesting because I believe I picked them to win the Super Bowl this year in our first episode.
You did.
And one of the things that I cited was the fact that every year people say that this is Tom Brady's year to regress and fall out.
Maybe it is.
I think it is. It looks like it might be. And I can tell you that it was pretty evident that this was the case right from the jump when Bill Belichick, in classic Bill Belichick style. Did you see this?
Yeah, I did. Fuck you, kids.
Later. So this is why Bill Belichick's my favorite coach in the league, is because everybody hates him and
he doesn't care.
He fucking did that shit on purpose. He saw those goddamn kids there and he was like, fuck you guys.
And the kids are wearing Lions jerseys. Why
honestly, if they were wearing Patriots jerseys, he would have did the same damn thing. That guy is so laser focused on just winning football games. Like if you created a robot in a lab to win football games, it would just be Bill Belichick.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of Bill Belichick. That being said, things did not go that well.
No, man, we can't bet on them again. We just can't do it.
Absolutely not.
They fucked us twice, man.
Until they prove that they can beat good teams on the road, and I don't even know if the Lions are a good team.
No, they're not.
They looked bad in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So, yikes.
I don't know why we aren't betting on Kansas City.
Kansas City looks very
I nominated
good.
them the past 2 weeks.
We can talk about that in just a second because I have some Mahomes stuff to show. But this is kind of how Tom Brady's day went. It's really small, but you get the idea. There's his helmet. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, he's looking rough this season.
So yeah, Tom Brady, tough year this year for him. Yeah, one thing I did want to mention, it came out this week that Rob Gronkowski almost got traded to the Lions and threatened to retire if he were traded.
Really?
Yeah, he said, and it wasn't even just the Lions specifically. He said, if I'm playing anywhere that's not New England with Tom Brady, I don't want to play football anymore.
Wow.
So they canceled the trade.
I mean, the guy's got enough money; he can do what he wants.
Right.
So.
And I respect the hell out of that. I think that's so fucking cool. Like you don't see that in almost any other sport.
Right.
There's baseball players who have in baseball, if you are in the league for 10 years and you are have been on the same team for the last 5 years, you have the right to refuse any trade. So sometimes you'll see guys who will say, okay, I only want to go to these teams, but it's very rare that you see a guy say, I'm not waiving my no trade clause. Like I want to stay here with this team.
Right.
So it's cool to see that. I started off this like in football kind of hating Gronk because he was sort of like frat boy, like douchebag, but he has warmed on me massively, and now I'm a big Gronk fan. So kudos to him for that.
Tony's a Yankees fan and a New England Patriots fan.
Yeah, I'm just picking all the teams that everybody hates.
Him.
I'm just a giant sports troll these days, apparently.
Wow.
Now you did mention
Kansas City.
Pat Mahomes, man,
dude.
Pat Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time.
What was I doing? He literally has the greatest 3-week start ever in the recorded history of the NFL.
It's honestly like unbelievable.
Like the names that were up there on that list when they showed it, it's all the greats. It's Favre and Brady and Manning. It's like
the guy's legit.
Yeah.
He was also, I read that he was a high level baseball pitcher as well.
Yeah.
And it's very evident that his arm strength is fucking next level. The guy can throw off balance, throw on the run, and just throws goddamn lasers to everybody. We saw last week he threw that pass to Travis Kelce and practically knocked his ass in the end zone with it. So he did throw this touchdown here, which was insanely impressive. Let's see. So the Chiefs pretty much dirty girled San Francisco, as Aaron would say. But look at this fucking rollout, change direction, being chased, and then just throws a rocket to the corner of the end zone. I mean, that is just – the guy is
That's
really
impressive
talented.
because that could have been like a 30-yard loss right there.
Yep. He's good. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be doing just fine this year. I think they're a favorite to win the conference, I would say.
They're looking really good. I don't know who they're playing next, but I'm gonna think about betting on them even if the spread's crazy.
Yeah, I mean maybe we should stop getting scared of spreads so much. I think
stop betting on these -3 games just because they're close, and don't bet on the -17 for Minnesota. But
right, exactly. Yeah, Mahomes 24 for 38, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Just about as good as you can do for a quarterback. So
it's crazy.
Speaking
of
Mahomes.
Arm strength, did you see? I think it was Luck, the Colts. At the very end of the game, he had a Hail Mary chance, and they didn't think he could do it, so they put in the backup just for that one play, and then the backup bombs it like almost too far out of the end zone. It was crazy.
I think Andrew Luck has been injured permanently.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to come back to be the same guy that he used to be, and it's pretty sad.
That being said, though, he's going to throw some 5-yard, 7-yard completions and make them every time.
True.
So
he's still a smart guy who knows his abilities. So
yeah.
But it's just kind of sad because when he came into the league at first, he looked like a stud. Like I remember being pissed because the Colts went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. And I was like, you guys fucking never have a bad quarterback. This is bullshit.
What else we got here?
I did want to talk about some bad calls, but I'm not sure if we got through all the games that we
definitely
want to talk about
haven't
here.
gotten through everyone. Let me look at some scores here real quick. And just mention that you got almost 0 points exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's one game we didn't talk about was the Giants game. Eli Manning did not do what I thought he would do for me. I picked him purely based on that clip that I showed last week with his face looking.
He got you 0.06 points. That's probably the most boring outcome you could have.
Yeah. I almost I had to look and be like, wait, did I forget to start him?
Yeah, I think that's about it. Everyone else is kind of middle of the pack.
Needless to say, I did make a bet with Alex Evdeque at the start of the season that he has yet to accept. So now I'm feeling pretty good that he hasn't accepted it because he's kicking my ass right now. So
I know. Does the bet stand?
It does.
If you can accept at the end of the season.
I say the bet doesn't stand anymore because Alex never responded to it. So I think I'm good. I'm in the clear.
I don't know. We'll see. You still owe me a shot at tequila. So.
That's true.
I got 22 points with Case Keenum. I thought that was a risky pick for myself.
Case Keenum.
But it worked out really well for me. The Baltimore defense stepped up, did their job, and got me 22 points.
Yeah, Denver's a weird team. They have Keenum at quarterback. They got I think like a rookie running back. They've really had a lot of turnover, it seems like, on the offensive side over the last few years. So I'm not too high on them. But Case Keenum just looked so good last year. It's so weird, you know.
Well, the first 2 weeks he's gotten like 8 and 13 points against defenses that were worse than Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I think we might see him get picked up a little bit more. He would have had even more than 22 points. Baltimore had a pick 6 that came back because of a flag blocking in the back. So I think Keenum's a viable pick, especially down at the bottom.
And he's not on a team like Minnesota anymore.
Right.
That's really good around him. So
yeah. So speaking of penalties, let's get into some roughing the passer calls.
Yeah.
This is becoming a consistent segment.
I mean, this. I love that this is happening because this is now what I look for on Sundays.
It is.
It's I'm only looking for egregious calls that I can talk about because I now I would consider myself a casual football fan now, where prior to last year, I would say I was a pretty serious football fan. So now I can give the layman's description of what it should be without having any knowledge of what things are.
Right.
Which I think is really what people are looking for in this type of
need.
show. So of course we'll talk about Clay Matthews, who I think is going to be on.
Yeah, we'll save that one.
Save it?
Yeah, save that one for the end, because that one's the most egregious in my opinion.
All right, let me show this one then. This was in the Dallas game.
There were so many of them. I think
this week was actually a little better than the prior 2 weeks as far as penalties go.
Do you have the Bears ones on here?
I don't think so.
Okay,
maybe I just missed them. I will say I looked through that entire highlight thread and just pulled every interesting thing I could. There's so much that I don't see, so I'm not sure. But this was called roughing the passer here on Dallas.
Yeah, it's the same story every week. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do.
It's hard to really comment on it because I'm just going to say the same thing every time. Now, how it was explained, I did read a little bit more into this rule. One of the things that's going to get you flagged is lifting the quarterback off of the ground.
Okay.
So I don't know. It doesn't look like that's what happened here.
No.
But I guess it's just his momentum falling on top of Wilson.
And I think that's. No one has seemed to said like, hey, we can't change our direction in the air. You know, that's just physics and gravity. Like, what is he supposed to do? I think maybe he hit him a little high. If he goes lower, then he can like.
But then the problem is you also have that rule where you can't hit quarterbacks, like you can't dive at their knees, because that rule was put in for the whole like Carson Palmer era back in like 2005. So I think you either, when you hit them, you can't wrap. Maybe you just hit and just Superman after.
But then at that point, there was a call against, I want to say, the Eagles, where a defender comes in and he goes up to block a pass and he jumps up in the air, but then Wentz ducks down and the guy lands on top of him, and the guy kind of pulled off because he was afraid to take him down, but he never actually took him to the ground, and Wentz gets backed up to go throw, and the refs actually called him down. But the Eagles were super upset because he was never actually down.
See, that's a good call in my view.
Agreed. If that's how you want to ref the league, I mean, essentially, we're becoming a two-hand touch league, which is what's going to happen. It just is what has to happen, but then you're going to have the Eagles fans are upset because he was never actually down.
Right.
So
you're not going to make everybody happy, and the common denominator, or I guess the thing that your goal should be reduce injuries.
Right.
So I don't think that they're accomplishing that goal the best way that they possibly could. I don't think that this is the best way to go about reducing injuries. If you really want to reduce injuries, you do more drastic things. You don't do this half-ass shit and that's in the middle of.
Right.
It's not.
I mean, we're going to see a change next year. I don't think.
Oh, without a doubt. And honestly, the change should come now. You should not wait till next year. I don't know how the rules. I'm sure the rules committee has a thing where they don't change rules in the middle of the season. But this is like a crisis. This is the worst I've ever seen. Where everybody in the entire stadium and the entire world who's watching it knows it's a bad. They know that
I just go on Twitter and I type "roughing the passer" and I just watch the feed.
That's what I've done too to try to find clips.
Yeah, it's great. It's the best way to find them.
Yeah. So I mean, I saw this long comment today on because somebody posted one of these. They posted that GIF that Lauren posted in the group me today about how to sack a quarterback. It was on the sports subreddit. So people were asking I don't understand football. Can someone explain why what's the big deal about this? And this guy gave this long explanation. And he basically said all these people are saying that the kneeling stuff is what is killing football, and I don't think that's true. I think it's stuff like this. It's stuff
sure.
where people know that this should not be a penalty, or you now can't get excited about certain plays until you scan the entire field to make sure there's no flags. Like,
right.
It's more about watching the refs now than it is about watching the players. So, and I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, because that is the main thing that has kept me from watching football. Is like, I just get pissed because I don't know what pass interference is. I don't know what roughing the passer is. Like,
this is a little bit off topic, but it goes along the same lines of not being able to get excited about a play. The Saints were scored on a last-second touchdown, okay? And every touchdown is reviewable,
right.
you know? So the the New Orleans Taints score with 0 seconds left on the clock, and you want to get excited. You want the whole team to go rushing out on the field, but you have to sit there and wait till the play is under review, and you sit there, and it's just not as fun, you know?
Well, that is a very similar thing, not to bring it back to baseball, but that is the complaint that was made and still is made about when they now with the replay system in baseball, is now if there's a play at the plate on the last, the winning run's coming home, there's a play at the plate, you have to hold your excitement until the umpires signify that he's safe or out.
It definitely ruins a moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
But then it's the whole argument. It's like, well, do you want a moment or do you want the call to be right?
Right.
Because I would rather have the call be right.
Yeah.
But there's a balance. I would not rather have it right if it takes 15 minutes for them to go look at it and say if it's what the call is. Mm-hmm. So you got to find the balance. I think in the MLB they should put a time limit.
We don't care about an MLB,
but
Tony.
It applies to the football. They should put a time limit on it in the MLB, and the same should be for the NFL. If you can't definitively make a call in, I don't know, a minute and a half, then it stands. And you just say not conclusive.
Yeah.
Because like nobody wants to sit there and fucking watch guys in a tent go like this.
Right.
So
what's your next clip? What do we got?
We got Clay Matthews was the only other roughing the passer.
Well, then let's get right to it, because it's insane.
Yeah.
I can't handle it.
All right, here we go.
So this is, in fact, there's not even a passer. There's no pass.
Maybe it was called personal foul, or was it called roughing the passer? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe it was. So he gets sacked here. The ball is in his hands. He's not even in a throwing motion, and Clay throws his hands up.
He's used to this. He knows.
Last week he had one. He knows what's coming.
It's a shitty clip, but nonetheless.
And there's nothing he can do about it.
So again, I guess right here he needs to take his left arm and just go.
But he's sacking the guy.
I know, but I'm just telling you. I'm
the
just
guy.
telling
He's not even
you what you have to do to adhere to the rules. And Clay, we've told you this multiple times. You got to stop this shit. And the thing that's just so.
I just love
almost
that Clay takes his hands off
he's
immediately.
Like, and then I did see another clip. I guess I didn't download the better version of it. But after this play, he sees the flag come out and he immediately knows what happened.
Yep.
Like he's just immediately like goes on his knees and goes like this.
Yep.
Because like that's the thing is like he should be excited and fired up about doing that, and now his immediate is like, oh shit, I hope I didn't get flagged for that.
Right.
And it just ruins like what's exciting about football.
I mean, if you're not allowed to get sacks, like this is a sack.
Right.
If you're not allowed to get sacks, then we need to just not touch the quarterback at all.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I'm saying. That's what I proposed, the two-hand touch rule on the quarterback. Have him wear red jerseys like they do in practice.
And this isn't getting consistently called. Matt Ryan got taken down multiple times, and
week one, Andy Dalton was getting the shit kicked out of him. I mean, no, he didn't get one call.
Right.
The game.
This is not being consistently called.
I think that that is a huge problem as well. I don't know. There's going to be a change. This is Mike McCarthy after that call, which I totally agree with him. I've never seen a coach this angry at a rep. Look, he's chasing him down.
He's running.
And I love it because that's how I would feel if I was a Packers fan. I'd be like, this is some bullshit. So definitely agree with Mike McCarthy there.
Especially with Clay was the one last week who had the same call and had the game reversing decision essentially.
I mean, and that's probably what they said in the film room. They said, Clay, this play cost us the game. It's not your fault.
Right.
So like
try not to do it again.
Right, like just try not to. You're an amazing player, but please don't do it again. This is a good throw by Matt Patricia. I just wanted to point out that he threw this challenge flag 23 yards. So good job by Matt Patricia.
I was talking to Taylor about how ceremonial the challenge flag almost is. Like I saw Harbaugh just drop it out of his pocket and then pick it up immediately. I want to see more of that right there.
I like that. Matt Patricia was the guy I wanted the Bengals to hire over the offseason. So I'm a big fan of this challenge flag throw. Serious distance, great form.
It's going to take someone's eye out with that
I
thing.
really love it. Okay, what else we got here? We got Dallas. Here's a roughing the passer. We already showed that. Here's a taunting call that was called on Earl Thomas for the Seahawks. You see, he'll get a nice interception here. He gets flagged for this right here.
For bowing?
Flag, 15 yards.
Was he bowing towards the other team's
I don't give a shit. He got a 15-yard penalty for that. I don't care who he's bowing to.
Yeah, that's dumb, man.
Do what you want with player safety. Call flags on that kind of shit. But if you're going to flag this shit, you're just asking people to stop watching the game.
Are you okay with him getting that Jets player flagging for wiping his ass with the ball?
Yes.
That's too far?
I think that is the line.
That's too far.
I think anything involving like that, because that's a deliberate like disrespect to another player. It's the same thing like if you tackle a guy and then you do the stand over him thing,
cut your throat.
Yeah, that kind of shit should not be allowed. It's a
gracious bow.
To basically, it looks like he's just bowing to the crowd.
Right.
Essentially.
Right.
NFL, what the fuck,
I'm
dude?
with you.
That's when people say no fun league, like that's what they're talking about.
Right.
Let's see. This is the play. This is a Dolphins player tearing his ACL. He's out for the year because of this. This is him trying to avoid landing on the quarterback.
Oh no.
Out for the year.
That's
so
terrible.
You'll see he tries to kick his back end out so he doesn't land on him.
Right.
Like right here, he's trying to kick him, whip out, and I think he just kind of lands weird on his knee.
I hate watching that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it fucking sucks. It's one thing to get 15-yard penalties. This guy's season's over now because he's trying to prevent that. So I think that's an even more of a reason to change the rule mid-season. This here is just a Denver player being a total asshole. He was actually ejected for this. You'll see him come in at the bottom of the screen here. You'll see a Ravens guy come in like that, and then this dude comes in and spears him, and then you'll see down here he's throwing punches in the pile. Yep. So he was actually kicked out for that, which is good. You can't have people throwing punches in piles, but it just goes to show.
Yeah, that's not cool. I mean, I'm sure dirty shit's going down.
Yeah, I mean, there's people gouging each other's eyes down there and shit, but you can't be throwing punches. So good on the refs for catching that and getting him out of the game.
That kind of looked like, I want to say, that Andy Dalton fake for a touchdown was gorgeous. Did you see that? Fake handoff. Andy Dalton fake handoff this way, and he just kind of hesitates for a little bit, turns and finds the open receiver.
Yeah.
That was gorgeous, man.
Well, Andy Dalton's a great quarterback, so it makes a lot of sense. That's really all I had on bad calls. I will say there's a couple more clips that I wanted to show. Well, actually, really just one. This was Marcus Mariota. I almost picked Blaine Gabbert this week, but I did not pick Blaine Gabbert because I wasn't sure if Mariota was going to play. John capitalized on that and ended up picking Gabbert.
And Gabbert got 6 injury points as well on top of that. So.
Yeah. So here was this is Blaine Gabbert getting concussed. And this is a play that I saw in real time, and it looked really bad because this dude comes in. That's clearly a helmet first.
Yeah.
Spearing. I mean, you can't fucking hit guys like that.
No call?
I'm actually not sure if that... No, it did get flagged. It did get flagged. Because I remember watching that in the non-slow-mo. I guess I don't have the non-slow-mo. But in real time, it looked like he got decapitated. It was ugly. And it would be cool if you guys could see it, too.
The Titans are in trouble with their quarterbacks right now.
Yeah. They kept Mariota active the last 2 weeks, even though he wasn't healthy enough to start, which is something I don't think I've ever seen in football.
But it worked out for him.
It did. I mean, yeah, the good thing they did, because I don't know who their third string quarterback is, but shit.
Let's see who the Titans play next week, because I think Mariota is going to be a good pick. They've got the Eagles.
Okay.
So
yeah,
not a top of the yeah, especially with him injured. So I think there's a lot of good options next week, man.
I don't think it's going to be too hard to make a pick, especially for those of us at the top. Maybe it'll be harder for those of us at the top because there's so many good options.
It's something nice about the bottom. There's no pressure, There's no pressure down at the bottom. Speaking of, you got something?
Well, I just was going to check the comments.
Yeah.
Read off some comments. I haven't been monitoring them. Brian Rankin said Josh Allen runs like a Republican. Can't argue with that. Cam says so many first or second year QBs taking over in starting positions.
Mm-hmm.
Watson, Mahomes, Trubisky, Allen, Baker, Darnold, Rosen. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And inexperience is what you want in this league. So thank you for pointing that out, Cam. Conservation of momentum is a law of the universe. Cam also said that, which was probably in reference to the roughing the passer. And Cam says the NFL is literally attempting to outlaw physics. Yes, you are correct.
I'm so glad we have viewers this week. We've been neglecting you guys.
We have, and I'm sorry. It's a little bit easier for me to monitor the comments when we have a guest, because when they're talking, I can kind of go over and monitor them. So please come on the podcast.
Yeah, we need some people. Like we said last week, we have pretty tight schedules, but if we plan something out in the future, we can make something work. So if you want to be on the podcast, let us know when you're available.
Yeah, we can do a Sunday or even a Saturday or whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll try it out.
Try it out, man.
Yeah, try it out.
Since we've been kind of moving through this pretty quickly, if we've got a little bit of time.
Well, we're up to an hour, so I don't know how quick.
Oh, wow.
That's fine.
It feels like we're flying.
What do you got?
I just want to remind everyone about the 3stepflop.com.
Yes.
Tony and I have been working on that a little bit, and we've been updating the draft value sheet. And Cam, you might not even know this, but we have our own website called 3stepflop.com.
Yes, and right now it's still in a construction state. I wouldn't say it's in a final state, but if for future reference, if you want this little tiny embed, as soon as I figure out how to fix this, I will. But on the home page, you can find our stream right here. So if you're ever confused as to where to find the stream, it'll be embedded right there. You don't even have to subscribe to us on YouTube. However, I would prefer that you do subscribe.
It helps us out.
And comment and like.
It gets our dicks hard.
Yeah. So and there's also some links to our Gators Google Doc that he has put together with the draft value stats. I've embedded
Austin's
it as well.
Favorite stat.
Still working on that. We'll fix it. Don't worry. We're under construction. But yeah, Gator has done some serious analytics work with the draft value stat. He's tracking all the picks and how people fare each week. It's pretty intensive analytics, and I think you guys should all check it out.
Yeah, it's fun. I know Austin hates the draft value stat line.
But it has been predictive in the past.
Yeah, it's not going to tell you exactly who's going to win, but it's normally a good indicator of where you're going to lay.
I did hear a quote about baseball stats once, and I know you're going to get pissed at me for bringing up baseball, but it applies to all sports stats. And the quote was, stats are like a bikini. They show a lot, but not everything. And I think that the same could be said for the draft value.
That's very good. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the draft value, you are tied for the worst draft value with -11.
And I'm also in second to last place. Is that correct?
Right.
So it makes sense. There you go.
Cam has also tied for the worst with -11. Brian only has -6, and he's the one in last. So,
well, yeah, that's interesting how that shakes out. It's still early. You only have 3 weeks of data, so that'll normalize here. I think week 8 or 9 maybe.
Aaron is at the top with +12, and Austin is up there with 11. So
Austin continues to hate a stat that only looks at him favorably.
Yeah, he does pretty well. He does pretty well in that stat. So if you're at the bottom of the lineup this week, you've got a chance to improve that stat. I think that's all we got. You want to wrap it up with Who's That QB?
Absolutely. Everybody's favorite segment.
And now we have a few viewers, so maybe we'll get some guesses.
Yes, hopefully.
Is this last week's?
Yeah, we'll start with the Who's That QB that we teased last week.
Yeah, don't say his name.
Yeah, I won't. I'm going to say as few words as possible since I have a real problem with leaking the answer
So, like I said last week, I'm going to try and give a little more clues every week with the picture, a little bit of context. I know that's not much this week, but do we have any initial guesses? You've had a whole week to think about it.
Yeah.
We'll spitball a little bit here while we wait.
And I'll make sure I got the comments up. So if you are, I think Cam is still with us here. Maybe he can give a guess. We'll give a few seconds here, and then we'll start with the clues.
Yeah.
I will say this is not a clue that really helps at all. Because I did mention last week he was a guy that if you grew up watching football, you probably saw him play. There he was a guy who I like to play with in Madden a lot.
Okay.
I actually had a franchise where he was my quarterback for a while.
Okay.
And he was a lot of fun to play with. So there's a special spot in my heart for this man.
All right. Well, why don't we drop the first clue in here?
All right.
If we don't have any guesses yet.
So he was a second-round pick out of Georgia.
From Georgia.
Again, I think this clue benefits really just Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you put where their college is from, it's definitely for Austin. But Cam might be a bit of a
he probably has some knowledge there. I've never been good at keeping track of where guys went to college, but I know Austin always does. Second round pick though, so he wasn't one of the, he's no Ryan Leaf. He was no guy who had all kinds of hype behind him, but still second round's respectable.
Mm-hmm.
Still no comments rolling
that's
in,
fine.
but that's okay.
We'll keep on rolling.
We'll go to clue number 2. He played in both the CFL and the Arena Football League. So this was a guy who, once his tenure ended in the NFL, could not stay away from the game of football.
Loved it too much.
And found other avenues to fulfill that itch.
Now, was this before or after his arrest?
I believe it was after his arrest.
Okay. Which I may have gave away the next clue, but if you can't already tell that he was arrested, then, you're not using your context clues.
He was released from his team, which I will not spoil, after failing his third drug test. So not. I mean, it's a common theme that we see from a lot of players in the NFL. When they can't keep their shit together, eventually teams just say heck with it and they cut ties, and that was the case here.
Like Josh Gordon.
Perfect example. Even though he was traded.
Right.
But they were close to releasing him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a whole nother story.
What did they get out of that? I don't even know.
It depends on how many games he plays and stuff. There's some conditions or whatever, but it's just so crazy to see him get sober after all this struggles with drugs and alcohol. And
if he's sober.
Well, yeah, I mean he hasn't failed. He hasn't done anything that indicates that he's not sober, and he ends up basically losing his spot because he hurt himself in a promotional photo shoot. It's just so it's almost like it doesn't make sense. I don't know. You put all that time and effort into getting this guy clean because you know how great of a player he is, and you cut him for a totally unrelated thing.
Yeah, I think there's more to it than that.
Probably. I'm sure we'll probably never learn. Maybe he was just a shitbag when he was in there and the new ownership didn't like him around, but not a lot of activity going on here, so
that is a bummer.
We'll probably just have to reveal
play along at home when you rewatch this.
Yeah, maybe just pause it and think about it. It's everybody's favorite Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Quincy Carter.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Quincy Carter was
one week you're gonna let me choose who's that quarterback, and it's gonna be like Peyton Manning. Like it's gonna be just
somebody, that everybody knows.
Right.
John Kitna, somebody who's like kind of obscure but not that obscure.
Yeah.
Quincy Carter, great looking guy. He was ultimately unfruitful in Dallas. He really almost never had a good stretch of games. I did pull one particular game. He was 20 for 36 for 210 yards, 3 picks, and a sack. He was just a guy who made a lot of bad decisions on the field and off.
Clearly off field.
Cam says, no chance I was getting that. I don't blame you. I have a hard time. Maybe I should make the clues a little bit easier.
Well, I think you'll see the way I...
Yeah, we've modified a little bit.
We're going to try and make it easier from here on out. We're going to find ways to make it easier.
So next week, we'll give you guys some time here, a whole week to figure out who this is.
Yeah.
But this is going to be our Who's That Quarterback for next year. Or next week, rather.
You like that image?
I'm a big fan of that image. I'm also a big fan of the fact that you had to blur 2 different faces because he's on the screen on the other.
And I couldn't blur the right one enough. It was still pretty visible, so I had to smudge his face up and give him this weird.
He looks kind of like a Dementor.
Yeah, he's got some dysmorphed face.
I also like that he's embarrassed, ashamed, depressed, and scared, which is probably he spent most of his NFL career.
I had to go with that image. I had to. Because at first I was going to give him a black silhouette, but then you would just lose him in the background.
Right,
so
it would just be pointless.
I think the blur thing might actually be better.
Yeah, I think going for the blur is better. It at least lets you know what race he is, which helps narrow it down. And I don't know, maybe it's possible that somebody could know who that is based on that blur.
It's definitely a better system. It goes against the whole who's that Pokemon thing.
True, but
Pokemons have a lot better silhouettes.
Right.
So.
A lot of them are shaped differently than human beings. So definitely think about that. We'll reveal it next week.
Yeah, I think after this week, we'll choose some less obscure quarterbacks. I think we need to.
Yeah, I'll try to find a way to maybe have some clues that are a little more specific, and maybe the second and third clue will really narrow it down. So
like when you're playing trivia at BW3s, and the last
the last clue is basically the answer.
It's a pun in their name,
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It just spells out the answer.
Yeah, right. So maybe we'll explore that.
Yeah.
But until then,
and go ahead.
I don't know. I thought something would come to me, but it didn't.
Nothing. Until then, we need a guest.
That's what please,
we need.
Guys,
help us out.
Please come on the podcast. It's always better for us to have a guest here because I think it ups our viewer rate count because nobody wants to listen to us talk about football. Two of the people who know the least about football in this league. But also it just allows, if you bring a segment like Brian did, that really facilitates a lot of good conversation. Brian does a fantastic job with the segments.
He does.
If you need sort of like a primer
inspiration.
Just take a page out of Brian's book and see what he's done. You don't have to be as good as that, but just strive for it.
Just bring us something to talk about.
Right, anything at all.
Something to break up this monotonous hell.
And if it's not about football, that's okay too.
I think that's all we got this week.
Yeah.
It felt like a quick one, but I guess it wasn't.
I mean, I think it was a good, concise, and solid episode.
Yeah. So please check out the website. Check out the draft value sheet. Let me know if you think that can be improved at all. Let me know if you want to see some more statistics that aren't going to take me much more work.
Yeah, if anybody has WordPress experience, please let us know.
Yeah, we could use your help.
Kind of winging it right now.
Right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. My name is Gator Strand.
And I'm Tony Dilatel.
And this was the 3-Step Flop.
Later.